Hello. I was just sat here going, what should I say today? What should I talk about today? What should I speak into today? And I was watching the sun go down, and it was so beautiful, even for a city. And I was like, oh, if I don't do something soon, the sun's going to go, and it's going to be all dark. And then I was like, oh, okay. I could go in, but I don't want to. I like being outside. I'm always outside. I was always outside as a child. I love being outside on deck when I'm sailing, rather than sitting down below in the saloon. And if I can help it, I'm always outside working. Even when it's cold, I'll light a fire in a fire pit and sit outside working with my coat on and everything. Well, I used to in England. I was thinking that it's such a good analogy, isn't it? That if we don't take action soon, then the lights go out. You know, we have that, the lights are on, but no one's home. But again, we can put so many lights on things and shine a light on things. Sometimes it shows the cracks. When we look at situations, we're often confronted by certain things. Like, for example, my books. I was talking with the fabulous Amber today, who is part of my team, on the new strategy, because one of the things I did several months ago was I came off social media. I was like, I just don't want to be on Facebook and Instagram anymore. I don't want to be on Twitter. I really don't even want to entertain the idea of TikTok, even though I know lots of people are on there and lots of people are selling books on there, and people don't go on there to talk about books about human rights and social injustices and cultural diversity. And one of the things that we have to do is we have to know where our readers are coming from. And then we were looking at all the sales funnels and all the things and everything that my business vision is doing and how it's feeding each other. When I burnt my business to the ground a few months ago with the help of my business coach, Lara Wells, it was quite intimidating. It was quite scary, because I knew that the way I was going, it wasn't going to be sustainable, because I was getting so many inquiries from people who wanted me to coach them. I was like, I just can't coach everybody. But I wanted to help as many people as possible. I have a goal of helping 1 million authors reach their goal. Now, I can't physically do that myself, but I can create content to help them and give all my insights, what it's like being an author and an entrepreneur and a publisher and an activist. Because by now you'll all know that the books that I publish all have to do with some kind of social change, positive social change, and calling out all the bullies, i.e. corruption, injustices and violations of human rights. And whether it's the menopause book that's about to come out, and oh my gosh, like, wow. I'm so excited about this book. I really, really am. Blood, sweat and tears, nearly. The blood, sweat, and lots of sweat. Lots of tears. Not quite so much blood. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind. And the other thing is like looking at my podcast, because my podcast, The Truth Serum, which is also going to go through a new name change, and again, something that I was discussing with Amber and Neil yesterday. How are we going to launch it? How we're going to be putting my books out on the audio platforms and maximizing the reach that I can get, and also how we're promoting all of the author courses that I've got and all the books, and how I'm supporting as many people as possible. I have a goal of 1 million readers, 1 million listeners, 1 million learners, and 1 million authors. And again, these are very big goals, but I've always had a very big vision. And I will not stop until I get to where I want to be. And, the lights have just come on. We've got like little fairy lights that have just come on. And this is the thing, it's like so many authors out there, they are, oh, I'm just going to write a book and I'm going to throw it up on Amazon and then I'm going to wait for the money to roll in. Now, earlier on today, I posted something about Del Boy and Rodney. Those of you who are from the UK will know about Del Boy and Rodney. No Christmas is complete without Del Boy and Rodney. It might be complete without the turkey, but it's certainly not complete without the Del Boy and the Rodney. There's a bit in there where Del is reading a little pamphlet. It says, this time next year, Rodders will be millionaires. And that's what a lot of people who write a book do. They write a book half-assed, or they put a lot of effort into it. I can't say they're all half-assed. That's just rude and arrogant of me. But they write a book and they don't know how to typeset it. They haven't had it read by somebody else that actually knows what they're doing. And when I read a manuscript from a client, I look at it and I start developing marketing strategies for them. I don't just read the manuscript and go, yeah, that's a good manuscript. No, that's not a good manuscript. When I'm reading it, I'm making notes on how they can monopolize on it, what kind of podcasts they need to be introduced to, what kind of products and services they can expand on. For example, with my one of my favorites, Nathan, not that I have favorites, but he's got these amazing books called Blood Child and Slave Boy. And one of the reasons why I agreed to publish them, even though they're fiction, is because of the brotherhood in them for men. And one of the things that we're working on at the moment is another book called, not me and Nath, but is a book called Man Up, which is redefining what it means to be a man in today's world. I'm looking for a few more men. There are only 10 allowed to work with me on this book. And we're looking at the mental health of men, and also actually these men that are going to take part in this book. Like, we've already got a few spaces that have been taken up. And Pete was the first one, Pete Canaliccio. He was the first one to jump in with both feet, so thank you, Pete. But this book is so important because a lot of guys, they grow up without fathers, or they grow up with an abusive father or a distant father. Whether the father has died or gone off to war or is working away a lot. There are loads of different reasons. And some men don't have a positive role model, or they have been, they've made a choice in life that is not what their parents wanted for them. And they've also chosen to live a life of diversity. Now, one of the things that happens when it comes to diversity is, especially different ethnic diversities, you probably have one parent that understands one culture and another parent that understands another one. And how does that work with men, but also like gender culture and work culture? Like, for example, my dad, he was a farmer, couldn't connect with my ex-husband because he was an IT guy. The only thing they had in common was me, and the fact that they love cake. So that was a starting point. But again, there's a lot of guys that we know their dads worked away and they didn't really have that much of an influence. And so when we're looking at this, it's like, how can we monopolize on this? How can we create impact? How can we create a community? And that was what I loved about Nath's books. It was about the fact that these young lads had grown up without parents. They were taken and they were slaves, and then they became what they call pit rats. And if you want to read the books, which I highly recommend you do, I would suggest you go on over to dawnbates.com/Nathbrye, which is NATHBRYE, or you look up Slave Boy and Blood Child. And I was saying to Nath, right, we need to get you on merch. We need to get Slave Boy on hoodies and those big, huge A4 flyer, A1. What do they call them? Canvases. You need to get T-shirts and mugs and gamer stuff and create a world where the light's really going. Hang on one second. Where you can get. Oh gosh, it really is getting dark, isn't it? Hello, is anybody home? Oh. Look at that. Lights. And so I was saying to Nathan, it would be really good for you to create merch and actually approach a games company, because the world in which Nathan's created and the languages and the timing would make a great world in a computer game. And this is what I do with my authors. I go, okay, this is your manuscript. Okay, what is it you're doing? What is your expertise? Where are you at? How is this going to lend itself to the market? How can we create more and more impact and create an income for you that actually just keeps feeding you? So we have a phrase called sales whilst I sleep soundly. And this is what I want. One of my biggest missions is to make sure that authors are not struggling, or starving artists, as I know that they're also called. It's not easy, and things do take time. And especially when you first launch a book, you're going to be waiting at least 2 to 3 months before your royalties come in. And a lot of the time it can be very lonely writing a book and launching it. And it's a bit of an anticlimax, really. You've worked your heart, put your heart and soul into creating a book, and you launch it and you're like, okay, what's next? And you just sat there and you're waiting. But you're not, if you're smart, you're not sat there waiting. You're on to actually building the business of your book. And it is about shining a light on yourself as an author, but also about shining a light on your cause. Why did you write that book? Why is it you felt called to write that book? Now, like I said, you all know by now, I'm very much into human rights and social justice and cultural diversity, and I want to make the world a better place, one book, one reader, one podcast, one course at a time. And all of my podcasts, I could go there and I could be interviewing all of these wonderful people around the world, and promoting their business, but that's not what my podcast is really all about. It's about promoting different causes that are going on in the world, such as Fritzi Horseman, who has an incredible project. And Fritzi, I absolutely adore you, my darling. I think what you are doing and the traction that you are gaining in this world just humbles me. Our book is not far off. But yeah, where was I going with that? So yeah, my podcast, The Truth Serum, a lot of those conversations will be used in a lot of my author training courses. They will be used as part of my PhD. And it's also about saying to people, there are these projects, get involved with them. And it's also about, okay, how can we make a difference in all these people's lives? Why is it we think this way? How can we think differently? And although they're not business focused, they are social justice and social movement and community impact projects. So when we're writing a book, or when you want to submit your manuscript to a publisher, really do consider what it is that you're asking them to do. Are you asking them to do everything for you? Like you publish and then you just leave it to them for them to promote you and then do all your sales, and or are you actually going to show up for yourself and create a business around this? Because if all you're doing is writing it and then handing it over to a publisher who puts it all on the publishing platforms for you, and then you do nothing and you don't show up and you don't promote your book and you don't buy author copies, your book's not really going to do that well. You need to show up for yourself and for your book and for your vision. And if you really want some help, then consider hiring an author coach. Now, I'm not for you if all you want is the title of author, or you want the accolade of international bestseller, and it's not in the realms of human rights, social justice, and community cohesion and diversity. But if that is if you do want to make a massive, serious impact in the world, and your book fits into those categories, then consider sending me your manuscript and I will take a look at it. Yes, there is a fee, because again, my time, my expertise, and the amount that I give you in exchange for reading your manuscript Again, while I'm reading it, I will be going through it with my editing head on. And again, I'm not foolproof. I am human, and there will always be mistakes. I have read books by Stephen King. It frightened the bloody life out of me, telling you that man. I've read books by Patricia Cornwell and Jack Reacher. Well, was it Jack Reacher that wrote? No, Lee Child wrote those, didn't he? And I read so many different books. I've read books by, what's his name? Robert Greene, The 48 Laws of Power. There were mistakes in his book. Some of the facts that he put in his book, they were incorrect. Wrote to him, because that's what I do, sent him an email. Hey, dude, you need to sort this out because this is incorrect. You know, we all make mistakes, even the best of us. It really is something that, you know, hiring somebody to help you get through to the next level and just is really worth the return on the investment. And if you don't believe that you can 10x your return on investment, then you have to ask yourself why you're creating a product. Because at the end of the day, your book is a product. You are going into business the moment you write a book. So you need to start thinking like a business person. You need to start thinking like an entrepreneur. You need to start thinking of a very big vision. And you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. That's like being married and having an affair. You're either all in or you're not in at all. It can be tough, but sometimes going all in and actually believing in yourself and backing yourself is the best thing you can ever do. So that's what I wanted to share today. Well, it wasn't what I wanted to share. That's what I've ended up sharing. Like I said, it's not a TED Talk where I would be planning everything. It's not a speech that I'm delivering, or, you know, whether it's keynote or whether it's, you know, delivering a speech, you know, at a black tie dinner. God, I haven't done that for a while. I want to go to a black tie dinner. In a restaurant with proper tablecloths and cutlery and everything, and silver service. Where did silver service go? Like, really? Seriously? Yeah, I miss proper fine dining. Anyway, not much of that in Latin America. What was I going to say? But yeah, so I hope that that's been useful for you. Like I say, if you've got any questions, reach out to me. You can either send me a message here on LinkedIn or wherever this video ends up, probably on YouTube as well as Vimeo. But send me a message through my website, dawnbates.com/contact, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. In the meantime, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. I'm going to upload this and then it will be wherever it ends up, LinkedIn and YouTube, I think. But yes, have a really lovely evening, and I will see you again tomorrow. Well, I won't see you, you see me, but you know what I mean. All right then, take care. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.